Okay, you guys, I am super excited today to introduce you to the amazing Stacy Pierce. Stacy, thanks for being here.
Yeah, I am so amped to be here. No, it's like seriously, this is so
Well, I loved how we met. We met at, we were at a mastermind retreat. You were able to come as an awesome winner bonus guest, and we got to connect, and it was just the absolute best time. You have the most infectious energy. We had such an amazing conversation, and when we were leaving, I was like, dude, you need to come on the podcast. You need to share your story. You need to talk to my audience because they need to know you.
I love that, and I'm so happy to be here. For most people, it's so funny whenever I introduce myself, even to people who I've known like all of my life, and I go, yeah, like how's things going? What are you doing? I'm a brand photographer. It's like what? And they go, yeah, great. Okay, what's that? Usually, as they walk away, they'll ask someone. So I would love the opportunity to say, tell people in your audience who I am and what I do. So
oh my gosh, yes, I want to hear all about that and how you got started in this online world. How you got to where you are today, because you have an
All
amazing
right, cool. Well, for those who don't know me, I am a self-taught lifestyle branding photographer based out of Orlando. And, I didn't grow up going to photography school or actually even owning a camera. And truth is, actually, when I decided to leave my Fortune 100 corporate career, I left actually not knowing how to use a camera or anybody in the industry who could teach me. And but my background is in business, and I had what most would consider secure and a good job. And truthfully, I mean, it truly was, and I'm so grateful to have the experience that I did, and being able to say, six figures, and the company car and all the stuff and all the things. But I knew, even though I didn't know what there was out there for me to do, that I could wake up every day and go, I love my job. I just thought that maybe I wasn't working hard enough. And so I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and, sought validation for my efforts, and, was able to get, promoted, but it would take, I really noticed it would take me 3 times as longer versus someone else who just been right just here at the company in just a few months. And so I was just on this kind of hamster wheel of doing well and then wanting validation. And at one point when I left, I was ranked number 3 in the nation out of 300 and something sales reps in the country, and was kicking butt. And I thought that my manager was, calling me into the office, like this phone call, the phone call that they're gonna yay. And it wasn't the phone call that I thought to give me the validation. In fact, it was actually the actual words were, while we are seeing that you are trying, clearly your efforts and aren't quite as good as what we think they should be. And apparently you were hired just based on not simply your merits, but based on your demographics.
Are you freaking kidding me?
That actually, okay, now I'm getting all choked up because I haven't talked about that in a really long time. Wow. But that actually happened. And of course, it threw me off and stuff. I was like, okay, what? And she was very, very bold. And she made, in fact, I had no idea, and so for months, I just kept, I'm gonna prove her wrong. I'm going to prove her wrong. I didn't tell anybody about it. I just said, I'm just gonna work harder. And sure enough, there was increase in my numbers and sales, but I was exhausted, and I kept pushing and I kept pushing and I kept pushing until the point that my body completely broke down. And so just moments, I just driven home, so I was so sleepy and tired. I was trying to get home, but I was like, oh my gosh, I need groceries. Had I not stopped at the store and said, I'm going to try to do one more thing, I would have had a seizure, multiple seizures behind the wheel. But instead, I had the seizure as soon as I walked into the grocery store.
Whoa. I literally have chills all over my body right now. Whoa.
And Jen, it completely changed my life. And the multiple seizures it took me a while to even figure out who I was, what year it was, and I had to relearn some of the most basic, the basic things like answering a phone. I knew it was ringing, but I couldn't figure out why is it making that noise and how do I make it stop. And as a grown person who is aware that I'm a person, but feels like I need to know how to make that stop. So for the longest time, it took me about 1.5 years basically to recover.
Wow.
And I had to get, literally around, like someone had to be here at my house as a single person, like, and part of the thing that I love talking about as a single entrepreneur is that, we have different concerns than some others do. Like, we've like, if you've got, a husband or, your honey boo thing, who can take care of you, you don't have some of the same worries. As a single person, I literally had to recruit family and friends to be on a schedule to help me get better. Fast forward, it took literally 1.5 years to get back to 100, where the doctors cleared me. The state says, yes, you can drive, because they took my license and everything. So so it literally was life-changing. Fast forward, me just being like, I'm gonna work harder. Actually happened. I go back. 8 months later, the same thing happened again. Same thing, true story. Except this time I had all of my nieces and nephews with me for the weekend. So I've got a big SUV with 6 kids. I have a seizure before we even make it to the front door of a restaurant. True story. Before we were even sitting down, like, this happened. So had I been behind the wheel just seconds earlier, I would have had a seizure with all these kids in the car. Someone who just happened to be dining in that particular restaurant knew me because it was someone from one of my accounts, a nurse practitioner, and she runs over and of course comes to the scene and, helps take care of the kids. That was the moment, like when I came to, it was the moment where I realized I am never going back to that job and I know everybody wants to make 6 figures and 7 figures. It's what everybody talks about and dreams about. But 6 figures is worth nothing if you are not around and able to enjoy it. And so
we got to pause for a moment and just let people sit with that for a moment, because that is a powerful statement. Like, there's something happening right here. Like, I'm laughing, but I'm like, oh, that just punched me in the gut.
Yeah. I mean,
no amount of money matters. Yeah.
But I think about, my nieces and nephews, and even stuff that they said to me just 2 weeks ago. My nephew just had a baby and he's having a really, really tough time, he's never been a dad, but he's doing amazing. And he's going to be, he's going to be, my nephew's nephew is going to be 1. And we all got together just recently to celebrate his birthday. And he said, he's a dude too. Like, he's a real dude. He's like, Auntie, the memories you created of us growing up, every summer I had to look forward to going, doing our back to school sleepovers. He's like, if I could just give my son even a fraction of that, he was like, it's going to be all right. So I say all that to say a part of why I kind of pushed was because I knew what my blessings in life meant to be able to help my brothers and sisters. But for those who are parents, none of your kids want you to work yourself to the bone to where you're not even around and present enough to actually give them more of what they want, which is really more of you. And so
they want more of your time. So many of my clients, they have young kids, and they're really, many of them struggle to some degree on a daily basis of figuring out, how do they find that balance between giving enough attention and explaining, especially to kids who are toddler age, this is for you, this is for your future, this is so we can go to Disney and do all these cool things and have this life. And it is a challenge, but I think exactly what you said, at the end of the day, you know, we all had childhood. So it's like, what do you really remember? Like, hopefully most of us remember those really cool moments, having sleepovers. And it's the time that we spent cherishing those relationships that really were the most impactful things.
And so, and I love further, because this is actually really cool just to kind of be able to share, because these are the things, Jen, I feel like, you know, while, you know, I don't have the following of Oprah, I decided I will use my platform to be my most authentic self and share the not so great side of entrepreneurship to help somebody else just know that sometimes what you see, you know, like in this digital world is not always, it's not always the whole story.
Yeah.
And even though I started photography without really knowing, you know, all the way like what I was in store for, I knew that I don't know, I have just this thing for just feeling like there are more people than we probably realize who want to see and hear like the stories of, but it's not all about, you know, like the money in the end, and
Yes.
just how we can show up like actually as ourselves, be ourselves, and literally try to give the best that we give to the people online, that we're actually, that is only a fraction of what we're giving to the people in our real life. And so I know that sounds really trite, but it's so true.
Yeah. Well, what I love about what you said too, Stacy, is there was something that occurred to me a couple of months ago, even just on like Instagram stories, that I would have moments where I would even send a friend like a nice double chin selfie, you know, and be super silly. I would privately send that and then publicly post something that was more curated. And I realized if I want my tribe and the people who follow me to feel like they are my best friends, so that I don't have to be creating two separate legs of content, like one for the people who really know me and then one for my followers, like just like post the double chin selfie, like show your people who you really are, because chances are they're all secretly sending a double chin selfie to all their besties. And it's like, if we just showed up authentically, like how much more fun would social media be?
Okay, like exactly, like real life. Like we are so much more alike than, you know, like people want to see. Of course, I don't want to go and see, you know, double chins on everyone every single day, but I do want to see that, like to see, like, gosh, she gets it, like,
yeah,
like she still gets my my whole life. I love that, and literally one of the reasons why I decided, like, as a photographer, like the thing that was making me the most money at one point was weddings. And that's what people told me that I should do, because that was, you know, what was, you know, had the most, I don't know, it just made you more legit.
Yeah.
Yep. If you were, you know, a top class, you know, wedding photographer, I was like, dang, so I guess I gotta do weddings, right? Right. And so did it, and was able to actually get, you know, clients after clients. And before I knew it, every time my chime went off for a notification for someone wanting to hire me, it was for a wedding. And my excitement would just go, and I thought, oh, wait, this isn't good. And I realized the thing I liked the most, I just took a step back. I said, I'm not taking any more wedding projects. I took a look at the thing that lights me up the most was when people wanted to hire me for headshots. And, you know, they would want those, you know, the plain, like, glamour shots, the stuff we see that just looks so, like, why? Like, literally, when I look at some of these pictures, I just lean into this, guys go, why? Like, why? It was doing the headshots for those people, giving them the, like, we'll do the safe, the boring stuff, but then saying to them, okay, how about you give me 15 minutes just to do like some real, like, dope, real fierce, real badass, you know. And I have my clients go, that sounds real, but what is that? Like, what? I was like, I'm going to do it for free. Just want to try some stuff. And I would make them do things. I would it was strategic, but I would do these purposeful things to get their personality to come through. Because my thing with images is most of the entrepreneurs that, you know, we know are not in a traditional, like, business office setting. So today's savvy entrepreneur shouldn't have images that are traditional and stuffy. It should literally look like the life that you have, or at least the life you want other clients that you serve to have.
Mm-hmm.
And if that looks like, you know, you're an author of a book, you know, like, you know, okay, great. But that doesn't tell us who you are. So fast forward, I made a decision that even though people said that branding photography wasn't a real thing, I was told that it's never going to work. I was told I was never going to make any money, and no one was going to see it as a real photography genre. I decided that's okay. If I can leave and start from zero, from corporate to run a business, I will do it all over again and start from zero and build this branding thing and be unapologetically badass about creating images for entrepreneurs who wanted images that stand out, rock, and totally kick ass. So,
oh my God, I love this.
What I do. So my tagline is, I tell the story of your brand through images that rock and attract the type of clients you want.
Oh, so good. So good. And I want to go back for a moment, because you had mentioned before, you know, when you were working in corporate, that you had this hustle mentality. When you started building your photography business, did you bring that same mode of hustle in with you? Because I just know for myself, when I even just like worked in a restaurant, I used to get a high off of hustling behind the bar and like doing service bars, like how many drinks can I make in how many minutes, the perfect recipe, and it was like
right.
the speed. I got a high off of that, and I actually pretty sure I chemically linked that survival mode of my adrenaline with some cortisol, with some dopamine, and like this nice little like mixture of like bad behaviors mixed with positive reinforcement and a feel-good drug. And I was hooked to this hustle loop. And even though I lied to myself because I wasn't physically moving the way that I was in a restaurant, I was still bringing that same level of adrenaline, like just sending out messages, posting content. It was like, how fast can I do everything? And I burnt the hell out real quick. So I'm just curious for you, like, did you also bring that in, and what did that look like?
That, I mean, exactly that, to the point that it literally has led me to, in fact, like the term now people say, you know, oh, Stacy, you ghosted us, you know, like I will straight disappear. Like, I mean, and when you're running a business and your business is determined by your social media activity and reach, you know, you really can't, like, you kind of can't do that. You kind of can't do that and expect like for things to be all the same. But I will share without being ashamed that I'm the person who really feels like, just based on having pushed to, if you need to take a step back and reassess and make certain that you are connecting and surrounding yourself with people who teach you that there are actually other possibilities, and that getting help literally with tasks that you can actually hand off is huge. It's taken me years to realize that I actually cannot do it all. And it's because that was what was demanded of me in that, you know, corporate world, that actually in the digital world, there are things that you could have other people do. And I'm just going to give this example because I don't actually like making it about business all the time, because, you know, there may be someone listening who doesn't own a business and just kind of needs permission to be okay with asking for help. Is a friend of mine the other day could not believe that I use Instacart and Shipped and these new services where you order groceries, you know, like right from your phone. And I mean, she was like, but you're just such a go-getter, and like you can do everything. And you know, the Stacy I knew would just be like, okay, got it, be right back. You know, it's like, okay, but the Stacy today understand, and this is the real mentality. And I know, like, you know, your listeners are really, really savvy, but this is a real thing that just happened with some family, is that there's honor and pride in being able to say, I did it all. I did it all in the moment, and you don't get a pass unless, you know, you're sick, oh, you got the flu, or you got the cold, or, you don't get a pass. So even if you use that service, you need to be able to justify, oh, well, we know she was sick. We know, like,
Right.
you can be at your best, dopest, brightest, killing itself, and understand that if you are worth, whatever you're working on is worth, let's just say $500 an hour. What you can accomplish is going to net you $500 in 1 hour. Why not pay someone 10?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And who can go get your groceries and bring them to your door. And literally it was like, and like they were just like, okay, yeah, you're right. I was like, you're going to have to stop what you're doing, put on some decent clothes to go outside, get in your car, go to the traffic, then now you got to shop. Now you got to put the groceries back in. And it was like this light bulb moment went off. And so that's happened for me it's taken me a long, and I wish I would have had someone like me to just kind of knock me in the head and give me, kind of those moments to say, girl, don't do that. So that way I could be much further along.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you're bringing this up, Stacy, because I think a lot of times people do tend to only look at it through the lens of a virtual assistant, or, oh, I don't know what to outsource yet. But you can outsource cleaning your house. You can outsource walking the dog. I'm a huge fan of Instacart. When we first discovered that, I was like, why have we not been doing this since day one? Like, what just happened? I was living on Seamless. I'm like, wait, I can get groceries delivered here too? Especially in the winter in New York. I'm not trying to go walk to the grocery store and bring all my bags and have this puffy jacket. No, thank you. I'm good. I'll do a little something to get my workout in the house.
Right.
Like, I'm good for that. But I think that's such an important thing. And it really is such a powerful look at this mindset that you brought up around the way that this old school mentality that you are somehow less than if you are not doing it all yourself. And I think this happens a lot for women, especially.
Yes.
Like, especially the moms that I work with, they're supposed to be the most A+++ mom, whatever that version is in their own head. They're supposed to do all the old school domestic stuff. They're also supposed to have time, energy to be creative in their business and brand. And I'm just like, we all have 24 hours, but if you're burnt out for all of them, you're not serving anyone anywhere, and you're definitely not serving yourself. So I think this is such a great little entry point of like Instacart, like just something so simple. And I realize not everybody listening to this has access to something like that. They might not live in a city, but there are other things that you could do, like even just getting babysitting for a few hours if you have kids.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, honestly, you hit the nail on the head with whatever the task is. You are not less than.
Mm-hmm. Where do you think that idea comes from in our culture? Because I don't think it's the case for other countries, but it's definitely a U.S. thing for sure.
It is absolutely a U.S. thing, and as a brown skin girl, like I'm always bringing up my brown skin, and it's kind of hard to hide because hello.
No, but I appreciate that perspective, and
I feel like it's even worse in the African American community, where there's just this. Especially when you are, a lot of the roles are supposed, even though, like you're just like you only ask for help if you are in a certain state of just not being well. And so if you're not well, then somehow you're overdoing it, and you're bragging about your, no, it's like someone has to actually start to not just talk about how we can change that. So I choose to be the example and live it and show up, because like I know what's gonna happen when I make a post and it shows that I have hired a cleaning person. Like, it's taken me way longer than gosh, I'm really embarrassed to say, but it took me hurting my back and having to miss like 2 conferences that I paid boatload of money for. I mean, I'm talking, I lost thousands of dollars because my back went out cleaning the house, and I already knew that was the issue. And I am the reason why I give the analogy to other people is I'm the one who kept pushing through, but then would be okay, would push through enough, and then go to the doctor that was then going to require co-pays, medication, time, and then 2 to 3 weeks of recovery. And then I had to think about, what could I do here? Had I hired someone, which would have been less than not only just what I paid for the copay, the insurance, the 2 weeks of time that I lost not really making any, being able to be a part of my regular life, was thinking about like how much more I could have gotten back. And that even though people try to like, oh, I get a team, and that sounds really good, but sometimes a team of one can like make the biggest impact in your life. And in fact, nobody has to even know. Like, it's not like, if you just start there, then when you see how much, what freedom really means and the value of freedom, then you can start like sharing and telling other people how they can get free too, basically, how to get their life back. And I think I really do think it's everything. And I don't even know, I think so many people are clear about their purpose in life. And I'm not certain of mine. I know what my purpose isn't, but I know a part of it is to give people permission to show up in their imperfect state and still be happy and not have to live a life perfected, that is so curated on social media, that actually like how you are showing up in real life is the stuff that people really want to see, and that it matters that you're winning in real life.
Yeah.
This
is so good. And I think there was something that you said where you're talking about, outsourcing and giving things away, and you're really giving people that permission to slow down and get their time back, which, man, if you guys can really just take that and implement that and use that, your life will be changed. Just bottom line, it will be. If you get your time back, what else could you do? What else could you create? What else could you enjoy? And what is it costing you to not do that? And what is it costing you to wait? Like you were saying, it's costing you doctor's bills and this and that and time away and physical pain. So I think that's a really powerful perspective on, letting things go, letting go of that control, allowing in help. And I think there's some other layers here that you brought up too, of, especially if culturally you must be sick in order to be deemed worthy of help. I wonder, like, just subconsciously, there's a belief that I can only be getting help when I'm sick. And there's almost that secondary gain of like, well, then I'll just stay sick, or I'll stay incapable so that I can receive help because I want the help, because I feel significant and loved when I get help. So I don't know if that resonates for anyone listening, but that was just an interesting thought that I had as you were speaking, that, wow, by making that a rule, that's creating a cage for you and incentivizing people to feel unwell.
Yeah, and it should totally be. And I forget what the do I have it? I do. Like, I'm always quoting James Wedmore, and it just so happens that a part of like one of the things that I'm doing is I've just officially onboarded my an assistant, and there's a quote that he says all the time. It says, "If you can't afford to outsource, it's because you haven't been outsourcing."
Yep.
And I really didn't plan on think that we were going to talk about this, but I guess the overall thing for me is like just being an independent spirit and knowing I can rely on myself. It's easy sometimes, in fact, being the strong one, to actually being the strong one is it's okay to ask for help. It makes such a big difference in life, not just business, but just when you can show real strength in asking for help.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, because that is the true. I don't know if you saw Brene Brown's Netflix special. So
I haven't yet. It's in my list though.
You will be obsessed with it, but she really talks about how courage and vulnerability are one and the same. That in order to be vulnerable, that is like the highest level of courage. And so I think that you'll love it, because that really speaks to your point that in order to ask for help, that is the greatest sign of somebody who is truly strong, who is truly in their power, who is truly stepping into strength. because they know they cannot and do not need to handle and do and burden everything at all times.
Right. Okay, I'm
So
such a Brené Brown fan, so I didn't know that you no, for I'm a huge fan of hers. And the thing that when I get down and start to feel overwhelmed, like honestly, just reading some of her books, and in particular, just thinking about when things don't go well, or because in life by itself is just up and down, ebbs and flows. But in entrepreneurship, oh my God, it is insane. And so now I think about giving myself credit. Before I start to beat myself up, I pause and look, and I call it like my dope and badass list. Like, okay, my dope and badass self. Like, I literally have a list that I make, that I go to, and I remind myself of the things that I have accomplished. And I'd be like, you go girl. And then I try to keep it moving. And that's actually, like, for real, like, what the cool thing of like strength really is, like how people like think badass is like a leather jacket and doing the stuff, and it's actually being able to, when things kind of fall apart, being able to still get back up, keep it moving, give yourself some credit for what you have accomplished, and keep get up, try again.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds so trite, but literally that exact plan just pulled me out of what I saw was like going to be like a couple of days underneath the covers, like doing that whole why me thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I don't do that anymore. I literally have a list that I know some people are going to listen and be like, that sounds so lame, but I
love it. I'm like, I need a list. I'm going to hang it on my wall. Post-its everywhere.
I have a list of I call it the dope and impossible. I know I'm really dramatic, but I call it the dope and impossible. And it's basically, again, it shows you the influence James Whitmore has had on me. It is a list of things that I would do if I had 10 times the confidence.
Mm.
And so instead of me going to that list when I feel confident, I do the opposite. On the days that I feel like, everything else has gone wrong, like, let me just go to this list. It's already in my head, kind of impossible. So let me just go to it and make certain I at least make the attempt to just make something happen. And by the end, in fact, I have to do it. Like, that's if I'm going to whine and complain and go retreat underneath the covers, I at least have to check off that box.
Okay. So walk us through, like, what's an example of something that's on this list?
Oh,
like, what does this look like? I'm like, I want to know how you're framing this.
Okay, I'm not going to cry. Okay. One of the things was, I don't know, some of the listeners may be aware of Creative Live, but there's Creative Live. I literally learned how to use a camera watching Creative Live from my bed with my laptop, holding my camera, trying to find the button. I mean, I'm not even kidding. And then they have these videos, and they would do a free, as long as it was live, and they had like these professionals in, and as long as it was live, it was free. So I was like, on a budget, I ain't making no money. I went from 6 figures to like zero figures. So I try to watch it for free. And then I decided if I wanted to, to buy it, and like, I'm going to buy it. So Creative Live literally was what helped me build my photography skills. I practiced day, night, weeks, months, years. And they would have these people in the live studio audience, and they were all, professionals. They could talk about their, and I do this. And I remember thinking, how cool would it be? Like, to go from sitting on my bed, like looking, like, to actually maybe one day be able to be an instructor on Creative Live. And so I made a decision that I actually first want to be a live audio studio member, so I can see, like, what's the process? What do they do? Like, are the people like, I want to go into the halls and creep around. Like, is it what it is like online? And then once I see, like, maybe the next step would be like the best, like obviously the next step would be, hello, Creative Live is going to call me and be like, yeah, you are doing real, your branding photography work. We love it. Come in. Right. And so I literally, on one of my worst days, I decided to reach out to Creative Live, tell them my story, tell them who I am. And I was able to come back and get invited and back as a, not back, but I was actually, they loved the story and allowed me to come in. In fact, just not even 2 months ago, just recently go from being, on my, computer watching to being in the live studio audience member, getting a chance to actually meet Jasmine Star, who was I paid $149, literally. I charged $149 for my first wedding. That I like, it's a true story. I didn't know, I don't know. And I said, no, I didn't want to, shoot this person's, my sister. I didn't want to shoot her wedding. And I said, okay, I'll charge you $149 because that's the price of Jasmine Star's, wedding photography boot camp. It's like, so if you buy that, then I can learn all the stuff I need to know. I said, I've already reviewed it. Like it was, on a replay. I saw it. So buy it, I'll learn it, and I'll shoot your wedding. That was literally one of the first courses I ever bought and the first wedding I ever did. And here, years later, just months ago, it went full circle in the fact that I thought if I went to Creative Live, it was going to be to learn about lights and, blah, 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 and this and that. But I got a chance to go. And it was just coincidence. They were like, well, our next live, blah, 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 that we have that you're welcome to come to is Jasmine Star. And I was like, what?
Shout out Jasmine. She's amazing.
Like, what? And she was just as amazing as I thought that she would be. And the thing that I struggle with the most is social media. I have this love-hate relationship with social media. And I thought, no, I'm not going. It was a social media boot camp. And I went, no. But it turned out it was amazing. The producers allowed me to do exactly what I envisioned, which was go live and show people the behind the scenes and interact with Jasmine and JD and, just show the whole experience. And that actually happened.
You are like a crazy powerful manifester. And I think that's such an important thing that like your dope list, your dope and impossible, that's like your mini vision board. And you put your biggest stuff on there of what you wanted to create, visualize it every day, and manifested it into your physical reality. That's pretty dope.
Okay, real talk, Jen. Okay, I'm having a moment. Okay, no, okay, for real, like for real, like okay. I judge myself so much. I look at you and I look at just, the impact that James has had and always feeling like, in fact, when he started talking about mindset stuff, I was like, oh, I signed up for the wrong class. I was like, what is this stuff? Like, I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, in fact, he doesn't even know. And hopefully I'll be able to share with him soon, like because I think he needs to know, like, everybody, he's always like, but it's like the woo woo. And I'm just like, like what? Like, like this is like, it's not working for me.
Yeah.
And so I haven't been able to actually recognize that until you just said it right now. Even how people manifest things is different and it looks different. And so because I'm comparing how I see you guys, that, like, I don't know, like I didn't count that as
something you manifested.
No.
Everything that you're experiencing is what you're manifesting.
Okay, that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
For some reason, the way that I usually look at manifestations, because there's things that, like, every situation is neutral, which is really challenging for people to understand and for them to receive that. And I just did a podcast episode recently with my girl Kiki, and she shared how she manifested throat cancer, and it's one of those, and how that was like the greatest gift of her life. Now most people are like, no, cancer, bad, negative, horrible thing. But she was able to say, no, cancer was actually the best thing that ever happened to me because it allowed me to turn my life around. So if all situations are neutral and everything is an interpretation of those situations, then like you get to choose how you interpret everything that you're manifesting into your life. Like I've had some things that in the moment felt like the end of the world, the end of my business, the worst things.
Yeah.
And now looking back, they were just like, they were just, they were just the little cones in the road saying, detour, detour, go this way. I'm like, no, that was supposed to be the path. How dare you give me a detour in these yellow cones? I want to drive through them. And you can't. And they were the greatest gifts. But you're already manifesting like a amazing, we're all amazing manifestors. It's just you're a conscious manifestor now because you put it on a piece of paper, you thought about it every single day, and you brought it into your physical reality.
Okay, you are straight like total life right now. Like I'm like real, like seriously, because I have never ever done a vision board, and you know, kind of
you have,
but right, and because I haven't done one in the way that but that I am in my own, and I'm like, this is so cool. Like this is keep giving me life. This is good. This is good.
I freaking love you. This is hysterical.
This is good. Yeah.
I'm so glad that I asked to hear more about this this dope and but I like love how you framed it and how it was something that was totally personal to you, and you didn't even really you weren't like modeling someone else's style. Like it was the way that you wanted to birth.
Yeah.
This idea. It was something you moved towards it because it made you feel good. Like I don't know if you've ever seen videos of young Jim Carrey where he talks about how he manifested a $3 million check.
Yes.
And he's like, broke as a joke. Guys, if you haven't seen that, go check it out on YouTube. I'm kind of ruining it. Spoiler alert. But basically, he just would like go park his car on this road in California and just think about how he got this $3 million gig, and he would just visualize it. And he's like, I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, but it just made me feel good. And like for you, like you're just moving towards things that make you feel good and then vibrationally attracting them into your physical reality. Boom.
Okay, yeah.
That's some good shit.
That is like, yeah, I am rarely speechless. And for real, like, yeah, like I need all of this, Jen, in my life all the time. I need all of this all the time.
I need all of you and your amazing manifestation energy all the time. And the audience is eating it up right now and probably sitting here like, wow, and realizing all the cool shit they've manifested and didn't realize that they manifested. And they're like, well, look at me. I guess I checked some boxes. Here I was looking at someone else thinking I wasn't manifesting the right way, or I don't hug my crystals and, you know, light incense and sage my room, so I'm not doing it right. And
right. I haven't given myself credit for, you know, like, or seeing that as me manifesting that.
What?
Well, because everybody else was trying to manifest that too, who submitted.
Yeah. And it was meant to be yours.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like, okay, listen,
you're like, look at me. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go out into the world now, manifesting intentionally.
Like here, this is so cool just to see. I don't know. I just love this. Just that and I guess I'm always talking about social media and stuff, and because like you see, again, I have a love-hate relationship with it, because I get to meet people like you. What happens with me and needing to take breaks and just unplug is there's this thing that happens without you even noticing it, where you start to compare. And you don't even, I think you just aren't aware it's even happening sometimes. And it's the same thing happens when I see, you know, like one of your posts, or, you know, somebody's posting like, oh, that's so deep. Like, oh, like that's like, man, the day I get to that level, and that we can't even recognize
our own greatness.
Yeah,
we're
like
close to it.
Steps that we are doing it. It just doesn't look like the way that, you know, you necessarily do it, but it's still happening. So this is like, I totally was not expecting like this. I really wasn't.
I really love where this conversation went. I know we had like some intentions for this conversation. We're kind of like, freeform, let's go. But I'm just so grateful with where we got to, because this is so amazing.
This is like so cool.
I'm so glad that people got to hear your story, got to learn a little bit from you, got to know you today, because you're just such an amazing soul, just such a fun spirit. Like, I just feel like I'm buzzing right now, like after talking to you.
Oh, you're amazing. I mean, really, I cannot say enough about like what it was to meet you, to not even know who you were, and just to feel a natural, like, I want her to be my friend. Like, I want to know her, you know, and then to get a chance to actually to actually see that I like everything that you put out, it is all you and it's all real. And yeah, that I now get a chance to be a part of your world. So
Oh,
yeah, like I'm one of the girls too, because like, yeah.
I love it so much. Okay, so where can people go to connect with you and learn more about you and what you do?
They can find me at stacypierce.com. And of course, I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Stacy Pierce Photography.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom and your beautiful energy with us today. Guys, if you loved this episode, take a screenshot of the show and tag us on your Instagram stories at HeyJenCasey and at Stacy Pierce. We would love to connect with you and just continue this conversation and hear, like, what was your biggest aha from today? So thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.